Well, basically the test, I mean, it was good to get on the bike. You know, the first, you know, obviously we didn't have good weather at the Barber test, and it was good, at least the few wet sessions I did do. It was good just to get out there and get familiar with the bike in the wet. Honestly, the team didn't really want me riding too much in the not perfect conditions with the bike, just because we were limited on spares, and you know, and they were, you know, there was some differences there. I personally needed a little bit more time in the wet, but you know, I understand where the team's head was at. You know what I mean? They didn't want me risking, you know, going down, hurting myself before the season, or you know, just throwing down the motorcycle. And the chances obviously are very high in the wet. But you know, we all know I needed some wet weather testing. But you know, we just with a little bit of testing we did do, we found a good wet weather setup, electronics wise and bike setup wise. And you know, we got about like a session and a half of the dry. Main thing is I definitely need a lot more laps to dry to understand the bike. One, I haven't really ridden a real super bike ever. I've ridden a 1000, but I haven't ridden a real super bike. And the bike is definitely a little weird to me in the beginning days. I just need more seat time just to get acclimated to it. The biggest thing was the first thing, just like the initial fit of the bike, the ergonomics of the thing, and it was really, really it was alien-like for me. It was like the seat is really, really wide, and you know, just kind of drops off, and the tank was really, really narrow. The bars are like has a real weird bend. The bars like a downward bend, and the rear sets are almost fixed backwards, so my leg angle is fairly far back from what I'm used to. So just the ergonomics of the motorcycle was really funky to me, and you know, we fixed it a little bit, but it was really set, you know, in its way. And so I need more seat time to get familiarized with that in the dry. And other than that, you know, the team, obviously I have the same crews last year, exception for one or two guys, electronics guys, which we're all kind of learning together. You know, so I'm familiar with the crew, but they never worked on this type of superbike before. So we're all learning together, and you know, we gel as a team pretty well. So I'm not worried about that. And, we're all gonna need time, and obviously with this virus going on, who knows when we're gonna go out testing again. But it'll be good to you know, get some more laps in the dry. It's early days, but the electronics are really really weird to me on how they're set up, and I don't know if they're set up around Tony's riding style, and just the whole bike set up around a particular riding style or a particular person. I'm not sure what yet, but you know, we all know the bike is very competitive, and we just need time to suit it for my style. And I need to adjust to it too, because I don't trust the electronics fully, where I can just whack the throttle up wide open coming out of the corners. So I'm going to need a little bit of time. But
talk a little bit more about the ergonomics. You know, that's interesting. So that bike is yours. Conceivably, it wasn't somebody else's bike before this. So when you got on it and the ergonomics were such that they were, why was it set up that way? And how much do you think you can get it adjusted? I mean, it sounds like the bars, rear sets, things like that, they can do some things with, maybe even the seat. But were you surprised that had it just not been fitted to you? Is that really what the difference is there?
No, so we inherited Yoshimura's motorcycles from last year, which Josh Aaron and Tony Elias was racing, and the bike was basically just gifted to us. Not gifted, but it was handed to us from Yosh. So whatever they had last year is what, you know, I started with at the test, and ergonomics-wise, that's what they ran. You know, and I know it was more like how Tony had it set up on the seat and everything like that. So we only could do so much because we only had limited parts at the test. So we really couldn't change the tank, the seat, the bars, and all that stuff. We could adjust it like a little bit more. We could adjust the bars more in or out. We couldn't. There was not much play with the rear sets. It was kind of fixed for however they had it set. It was almost fixed in that position. And the tank was, obviously, it's custom tank, So it was really funky. I mean, realistically, I just need more time, but I'm more used to a form-fitting tank around my inner thighs, straight bars, more of a standard setup, and the foot pegs more underneath me, more of like a motocross setup. That's how I like my bikes. This one was kind of like you're doing a Superman on the thing, So it was just different, I wasn't saying it wasn't bad. It was just I wasn't used to it. So,
so the bike is pretty different than your super sport bike then. Quite different.
It's different than the super sport bike. It's different than my Kawasaki I raced, Yamaha I raced. It was completely different than any other thing I've ever touched in my life. Electronics, bike setup. It was like the first time. And trust me, I'm not saying this in a bad way. The bike is a great motorcycle. It was just I need some time to get adjusted to it.
Right.